Hello, and welcome back to the podcast where you are invited for lighthearted conversations about things that matter as you seek to live your most meaningful, beautiful, and joyful life. I'm your host, Dr. Edie Wadsworth, and I hope you enjoy your stay here at the House of Joy.
Welcome back!
Welcome back! We're so glad you're here. Welcome back to House of Joy. How's my Emily May?
I'm doing great. I feel like this podcast was hard to get to this morning. Sometimes.
Yeah. Y'all, we're recording this, by the way, shall we say, on my birthday.
Happy birthday!
Thank you!
I have to remind myself to keep in this mic area because anytime I'm like wanting to get close to you, but we have to stay apart.
We have to stay apart, but I love you. Yeah, so we have had a hard time getting to this recording, but we're so excited to be here.
But we made it.
We made it. And today the topic is
journaling.
Journaling. And we have some hot takes on journaling. Of course, I'm a longtime journaler, lover of journaling. I developed this system years ago. It was like the lazy girl's guide to bullet journaling. So I've been teaching journaling a long time. I have some good science to share, but I love your take better. Emmy's like,
yeah, we have
don't
two different takes, and we'll definitely, you'll see. We'll get into it, but we have to start out our episodes with our confessions of the week.
Oh, I don't want to share mine.
Yeah, I don't want to share mine either. Mine is so embarrassing.
Okay, tell us everything. I mean, I already know, but
yeah, so
I'm excited to hear.
This one is really raw, and I'm really exposing myself right now, so just like be patient with me, okay?
Okay.
But this happened last week. I had just came home from Christmas, so I had all this new stuff. I had a new, what are they called? Dutch oven.
Dutch oven.
Had a new Dutch oven, and I was so excited to get back into my routine. I had just gotten home from being at home, so it's like I bought all my groceries, and you know I was ready.
Actually, you called me that morning, and you're like, "I am slaying this day."
Yeah, I was like so proud of myself. I did so many things. I like worked out, I cleaned the house, I did my laundry, and then it came time to cook dinner, and I had this like Pinterest recipe to cook. Like I bought steak, like I was chopping up sirloin, and so I'm making. It was like an Asian dish, so I had to like steam broccoli, and I was using my new Dutch oven. Shout out Katie, my sister. She got it for me for Christmas.
I know, it's so gorgeous.
It's so cute. It's green.
It was.
Spoiler. I haven't even told her this story, so this is gonna be her first time realizing what happened. But I was steaming broccoli, okay, and it like took like 5 minutes or something, so I was gonna go out to our fridge in the garage,
okay,
because I had frozen shrimp that I was gonna put in the freezer.
Yep.
So I don't take anything. I'm just walking out there, open the garage, put it in the freezer, and I go to open the door. It's locked. I locked myself in the garage.
Into the garage
with no phone.
With no phone.
My broccoli was steaming. By the way, it was on like medium-high heat. So like, first of all, I'm like literally panicking because that's all running through my head. I literally don't know how to get out of the garage because our garage is like hooked up to someone else's garage in our neighborhood. So we unplug it so that it doesn't open when we're out of town because there's stuff in our garage. So literally, I couldn't even hit the button to get out of the garage. I was like seriously in a full panic. Like, I don't know if I've ever had a panic attack, but that felt very close to it. So I'm like running around in circles in my garage, no phone, knowing that the stove is on. Like, I mean, we've been in a house fire. So like, I literally was having like
a panic moment.
Finally, I got the garage open. I had to like run down one of my poor neighbors. Like, seriously, I was on the verge of crying. Luckily, my boyfriend was on his way to my house to enjoy our dinner, which we did not get to eat. But finally, I like called mom in a panic. We got the fire department there. They had to like crowbar the door open. The house was full of smoke, like seriously, like billowing smoke. But they got their like big industrial fans, and they got it all out, and it was fine. Nothing actually caught on fire. my house did stink like broccoli for a little bit.
Like scorched broccoli
like,
for 3
you know
days?
how literally the worst smell is broccoli? Yeah, that one.
That smell.
And cigarettes.
And ruin your Dutch oven.
Yeah, and my Dutch oven is ruined. I'm so sorry, Katie. Like, seriously, nothing worse could have happened in that day. But you know what? I am glad that everything ended up being okay.
Being fine.
But everyone was like, this would happen to you.
Bless it.
I know. So...
And we were keeping the babies. You kept trying to call us because you didn't have your phone. So you're trying to call us to see if we had Haddon's number.
Well, yeah, that was another thing. I don't know anyone's number except Mom's. And so I was talking to this, like, neighbor. Yeah. I was like, oh, the only person...
I don't know any numbers.
Yeah, I don't know Haddon's number.
And we were keeping the babies, so we were very distracted. And then we finally realized, like, oh, gosh. It's serious what's happening with her.
Because, like, Haddon had also, like,
did we call the fire department or you did? I think you did.
I don't know. I have no idea. I was, like, literally I blacked out. I was in a panic. Haddon was, like, watching the smoke from our window the whole time. But, yeah.
Thank goodness he was with you, though.
Yeah, he was like, wow.
Yeah.
that was
something.
But we're all good.
She's all fine. Okay.
I told Mom, I was like, this episode you have to give a confession because I'm exposing myself and I cannot be alone in this. So she's gonna...
We actually asked Tom. We have, you guys can't see them, but our amazing production team, Katie and Tom,
seriously,
over there. And I asked Tom if I could share this story because, you guys, he's been off school. How long? Probably like 2 weeks. And I thought he was supposed to go back to school today. And he doesn't go back until Monday. So we've had a long stretch. We've had a great time. Tom got a pickleball set for Christmas. We've been playing pickleball. Fun. He got a drone. He has been getting some amazing drone footage, but he's also had more screen time than I would like, as I'm sure most kids during the holidays have had. So I had this moment where, okay, enough. You have to get off.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't hand me the computer. And so I just grabbed it and smashed his fingers in it as I drug it.
She was from his breaking point. Okay.
From his cold, dead hands. Yeah. He's basically like, you're not taking this from me. And I'm like, oh, I am taking it from you.
You didn't smash them hard.
I didn't smash them hard, but I did smash them. We've made amends. I asked for forgiveness. He seems to have decided that it's probably a good idea to obey Mom when she says, your time is up. Although he's rolling his eyes right now. It's fine. So that's my confession. I'm so sorry.
Everyone has their moments.
Everyone has their moments.
Sometimes you just have to like smash.
Sometimes you just have to drag the computer out of the hands.
Out of the hands.
Of the people. Okay. Let's get into the episode. Let's talk about journaling, Emily May. I want you to start because I'm sure that everybody who knows me knows how much I love journaling. I actually have my brand new journal. I have the journal planner that I've been using for the last 3 months that I can't let go of because I wrote so many amazing things in here while I was journaling that I keep carrying them both around. And I have some science to share, but you have some really awesome stuff to share about this topic, so I'm going to let you go first.
Yeah, well, I'll start off by saying that journaling is definitely something in this present moment that I'm working on. I would say the first time I actually, on my own accord, like, went to journaling because I felt like I needed to, was about 2 years ago. I guess, yeah, 2 years ago. I was just in a really dark place. We kind of have talked about this on your coaching program.
Yeah, actually, after Emmy shared this whole story with me, I said, oh my gosh, my clients inside Life Mentoring School would love to hear your story. And you agreed to be interviewed. And the interview that I did with you then has had such a profound impact.
Yeah, it's so funny because your sweet clients at Love is Magic have come up to me and shared how like helpful that was, impactful. And I'm telling you what, whenever we did that interview, I completely blacked out. Like, I've never watched it. I have no idea what I said. Every time I'm like,
you were so vulnerable though.
I know that was like in the midst kind of when we did that.
Yeah,
I was kind of
coming out of it. But tell everybody like what was going on with you.
Yeah, if you haven't watched that, basically I would say it was the beginning of my junior year of college. I was really struggling bad. I was smoking weed like every day, sometimes more than once a day. I mean, I loved the people I was around, but I think like we were all kind of just
not in a good place.
Not in a good place. So everyone was kind of excusing the behavior, and no one really thought what we were doing was wrong. And in the moment, honestly, I like really didn't think anything I was doing was that bad.
Okay.
I was in such denial of like where I was really at internally.
Yeah.
And I mean, smoking weed, I think, just like gets you to that place. Like you don't really feel what you're doing. Like
Yeah.
I really truly didn't care.
Yeah.
I had no like sense of what I was doing to my body. And I would say the first like 5 months I was like pretty numb to it. And then I would say we went on a ski trip that year as a family. And I was on that ski trip, and I think that's when I hadn't really hung out with my family all that semester. I kind of didn't really.
And I will say that Emmy has always kept in really close touch with me. Mm-hmm. And you were really distant during that time. So I knew, and I talked to Dad about it. I'm like, oh, something's going on with Em.
Yeah, and I thought I was kind of like doing a great job of
hiding it
all, just making it seem. And some people that really didn't know me well wouldn't have known, I don't think, that I was in such a deep, dark place. But anyway, during that ski trip, I was like, all my family, when you're kind of faced with like who you really are, because you can't be around your whole family that you love so much. Like, I love my family, and they love me, and you can't really hide who you are. But I was trying so hard still, and I think that's when I kind of like realized, okay, something is not right. And I just felt this like tug on my spirit a little bit of like, you have to stop doing what you're doing, or I don't know. I knew I had to stop, or it wasn't going to be good.
Yeah.
And I would say, like, before I didn't know any of these things about myself. I didn't realize it was the smoking. I wasn't aware of like what was causing me to feel all these things. And as soon as I knew I needed to change is when I started. I mean, I don't even know why I did it, y'all. I had this journal, and I would start writing in it kind of as if I was just talking to myself at first. Yeah. And when you really start to like talk to yourself in a vulnerable way where it's like no one else can see it, no one else is reading it, like I think that's what sparked me becoming aware of like what problems I was having. Yeah. And that's when I started talking to my friend Sydney about it. That's when I started like my faith kind of started. I started to acknowledge like God's presence, and like, because, you know, when you're in a space where you're kind of ignoring everything good that you should be doing, you're ignoring also the truth of the Lord. And so for so long, I was just ignoring, you know, a lot of things. And those first couple months of journaling really, really brought me out of that place. And then other things started to happen too as I started to become more aware. Like, I stopped smoking weed. I moved out of that house eventually. So, but I think the journaling really propelled the self-awareness of like, you have to stop this way of life and this path, because it was leading me further and further and further down a road.
I'm curious, because I don't think I know this either, because when you came to talk to Dad and I, you came home one weekend and said, I really need to talk to you guys. And I'm curious, like, how long was that after you started journaling? Do you think the journaling, like, almost in a way gave you the awareness, the courage, or whatever to come talk to us about it?
Yeah, it's almost like I heard this, I think from Sydney, which is my roommate now, but was at the time too.
We love you, Sydney, by the way.
Squidge. But she had mentioned something about when you keep things in the dark, they like, I don't know what exactly the saying was, but like, it's almost like me just putting it on a page was bringing it out into the light.
Yeah.
So once it was out there, once I set it on a paper, it's like, oh, this really it doesn't have that control over me anymore. And so it felt like once I had brought it out into the light and like acknowledged I am struggling, I'm doing it to myself, and I'm using all of these things as excuses. Like, if someone would have asked me when I was in the depths of like what I was doing, like, hey, you're not doing very good, I would have been so defensive. Like, I was so not about, I would have told you, like, no, smoking weed isn't bad for you. It doesn't affect me. Like, I was so defensive of it.
Yeah.
But then when you kind of, like, I don't know, the journaling really helped me, like, see my life for actually what it was, because I was so far removed from the reality. I would say, to answer your question, I don't know, it took me like a couple months, I think, to like feel comfortable with myself.
I was going to say, it seemed like by the time you came home that weekend and talked to us about it, you seemed so in like such a good place. Yeah.
I felt free from it. And I really do think writing it down, because then the journaling helped me so much throughout that time. It started just being me, like, kind of in prayer, meditation. Like, I would just kind of act like I was talking to God.
Yeah.
And once you have, like, aired out all of these thoughts and all of these things that were keeping you so stuck in a place, by the time I talked to y'all about it, like, I really did feel free of it.
Yeah.
And so it didn't have that, like, power over me anymore. And I really attribute that to being able to, like, writing it down.
Yeah. And it was a very, like, cleansing, emotional, amazing weekend. Like, the way you talked to your dad, the things he shared with you.
Yeah, I feel like it really...
It was amazing.
You know, even throughout high school, I would say I have struggled a lot with, like, just sneaking and hiding through high school. I wouldn't say junior year was
kind
like
of wanting to fit in,
and I had smoked weed before that stint of time. I would say that stint of time is where I, like, really hit rock bottom. In that area.
I think you said you were drinking a lot too.
Drinking a lot every night of the weekend, like doing a lot of things that were just like keeping me in this cycle. It's like you basically can't stop any of it because you're doing each thing to help
with the thing you just did.
Yeah. So anyway, I think I had felt really covered up for a long time before that, and that I hadn't been honest with y'all for a long time. And in high school, you're scared of just getting in trouble, but then it's like in college, I know I can't really, I mean, I knew y'all, I knew I couldn't get in trouble for it. It was just, I was so burdened by it. I felt like felt ashamed. But at that point, I think I just let go of that, and being able to talk to Dad and like really be honest. I do think that's why the journaling helped so much, because I wasn't just coming to y'all like fresh out of it. Like I had already kind of processed what I had gone through myself. Yeah. Which really helped me be able to connect with y'all. Yeah. Because that layer was gone. Yeah. You know, like we were really together.
Yeah. And we're going to do a whole separate episode, because I know this is going to spark lots of interest for at least the mamas here that have, you know, college age or high school age or 20-something kids. There's a lot that I think went on between us that I think created a safe space for you to bring that home to us. So we're going to do a whole episode on that. Yeah. But for now, I'm curious, because you had used, that was like your, now I have found some of your old journals, so I know that you've done some journaling before, but would you say that this was like the first time that it was so impactful and meaningful?
I think it was the first time where it was like I needed to do it. Like I had no other way to turn. And that's what I kind of struggle with now, which is what I was going to bring up. Like, I don't think I've journaled in a long time that deeply. I'm in a much better place now. And I have been for a while. And I think something I do struggle with is now that I'm like, I don't have a reason to, you know, have something wrong. Yeah. Like.
So your brain is like, I'm good. I don't need to journal.
Yes. Yeah. And so I feel like in that time, it was so natural to like journal. But now it's like, well, I don't have anything wrong and my life is actually really good. So like, what is there to journal about? Like, that's at the place I'm at now. Yeah.
And I love this, because I kind of equate journaling to me is like a little bit of a way that, well, and for everybody, I think, depending on how you do it, it's a little bit of a way of self-coaching. Like, you can go see a therapist, you can go get a coach, and that gives you whatever, some level of awareness. For me, journaling is a way that you can do that for yourself. You can bring awareness to your life for yourself. And I totally agree that most of my life, my journaling, because I've been writing since I was young. Like my mom has found so many notebooks from when I was young, and I would just pour my heart out in these journals. I started writing poetry, like really bad poetry, when I was in high school. And actually I would give away, because we were so poor, that if I wanted to give someone a gift back then, I would write poetry. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's
So I
really
wrote a piece of poetry to one of my high school teachers that had a big impact on me. And I remember when my book came out, she's like, "Oh my gosh, I still have the poem that you wrote me when you were 16. Could I share it on the internet?" I'm like, "Please don't."
Oh my gosh, I think we need to see some of these poems.
Yeah, if I've ever written you poetry, please keep it to yourself. But so I often used writing as a way to process hard things. But what I have found over the last few years, because I'm like you, I feel like I'm in such a good place. I love my life so much. So my journaling now feels more like dreaming.
Yeah.
It feels like dream journaling, like that I'm just writing to my future self about what I want to come to pass. I know last year at this time, last year on this very day, do you remember where we were? 1 year ago today.
Where were we 1 year ago today?
Emily May.
We
were snowmobiling.
Oh my God.
In Yellowstone.
That was kind of scary.
Yeah, it was scary, but it was awesome.
It was awesome.
Actually, that was January 3rd. The next day we flew home. And I remember on that flight home, I did like pages and pages and pages of dream journaling about 2023. It's one of my favorite things to do, is to journal in an airplane. And it's like something about the elevation and the perspective. Like, I look back at what I journaled. I journaled like 7 straight pages, and so much of what I wrote then came true in 2023.
Yeah. It does make so much sense that if you don't write something down, then the odds of it happening are like a lot slimmer than if you have like really dreamed about it.
Yeah.
It just, I think I struggle to make the time to sit down and write and dream.
Yes.
I do think the prompts that you have are really helpful.
Yeah.
Sorry, got distracted. We can get that out. But I think having prompts have been really helpful for me lately to at least like have a start, and then you realize that like more things come out even when you are in a good place. Like as you start writing, then you're like, oh wait, I didn't even know.
I didn't even know I thought that.
Yes.
I wrote things down last year and I'm like, oh, I didn't even know that's something that I really wanted. And I think sometimes, especially, it's probably different from your age, but a lot of women that get to be my age, they say like, I don't even know what I want anymore. I don't know what my dreams are. And I'm like, oh, you need to spend some time with yourself, because God gives you those dreams. Those dreams are from Him. And when we come alive to our dreams, I feel like it benefits everybody in our life. So I feel like spending time with myself to ask myself, like, what do I really want this year to be about? And I know even in setting goals for the year, like people get so hung up on what is the goal. Well, I mean, we're sitting in a room right now where, if you're watching this on YouTube, shout out, by the way, Johnny Cash right behind us, but we're sitting in a room that this was my desire to create a room like this. I call it the honky tonk room. It doesn't really look like, it's kind of like an upscale honky tonk.
Yeah.
But like that came from me writing, like, okay, here's what I want. I want to create a room in my house where we can sing and line dance that feels joyful, that feels, you know, and so even something as simple as redecorating a room in your house can come from that. It doesn't have to be serious, like life goals.
Yeah, like it can be fun things.
Just fun
too.
things. Yeah.
I like what you said. You said something earlier where it was like spending time with yourself. I think, at least for me, and I think some people, like, that is the uncomfortable part about journaling, is like literally spending time with yourself, thoughts.
With your thoughts.
And I think that's why at the time of all that going on for me, it was kind of easier to journal, because that was the only that was the only thing to do. Like, I had to face myself.
Yeah.
And I think that was the scariest part, is like facing who I was at that time, because I didn't really like who I was at all. And so facing that, and I still think that is hard for me, is like, if I really dig, like, I can say that so many things are good in my life, so it feels like not necessary to journal, but like, really.
But what would come up if you did journal?
Yeah,
that's what's really powerful.
I think sometimes that is the scary part that I hold myself back from, is like, I don't know if I want to face that part of myself right now.
I know. I love that you said this, because I have felt this way a lot. And what I have always discovered is that when you're willing to face yourself with compassion, like, oh, I can see kind of how I got to this point, not as a way to beat yourself up or to say I should be in a better place, but as a almost like a practice of gratitude. Like, I'm thankful for me, even the me that got me here right now. And I think once you do that and you connect back to yourself, it is like a connecting back to yourself. Then here's what's so magical. You want to connect with other people. And so you were at a phase in your life where you disconnected from us because you disconnected from you.
Yeah.
And so when you reconnect back to yourself, then you want to reconnect back to the people that you love so much. And I'm sure that ski trip where your whole family is there connecting, and you feel like, I want more of that.
Yes.
And so I think that connection back to ourselves is such a huge piece, and the self-awareness that we get, acknowledging how we really feel, acknowledging where we really are, you know, in our own lives. It's just powerful. I do want to share, because I do, like, I'm such a geek about journaling, and I've been studying it for years. I do want to go over just some geeky things about journaling. I do feel like it's like a master tool that you can use to kind of transform your entire life, to rewrite your past, to rewrite your traumas, you know, to revisit the limiting beliefs that you have, to visualize your future. But they've done so many studies on it, and frequent journaling, so multiple times per week, can be as effective as therapy to change the makeup of your brain. It decreases your levels of stress hormone, which I know I need. It says every journaling session lowers your brain's reactions, making your reactions to life less intense, and it allows your feelings to come forth. There was a famous psychologist, James Pennebaker, who concluded that journaling can help strengthen your immune system. Like, I think that's crazy.
That is crazy. I did not know that.
Yeah. It can also, it's been studied in the face of serious chronic illnesses like rheumatoid arthritis, asthma, cancer, so many health benefits of journaling. There was a 2005 study that showed that writing about traumatic events and your overall distress and your overall feelings can lower your chance of getting sick.
Wow. I did not know any of those.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I've got a whole, like, I literally have a whole document in my Google Docs about the benefits of journaling. Wow. And I think that's why I'm so passionate about it. But I also think, because obviously I love coaching, is that it's a little bit of a foot in the door into what coaching is about, because coaching is kind of where, you know, somebody else can take a look at your brain and help you see what you're thinking and feeling.
Well, then you start asking yourself, well, this thing comes up a lot.
Yeah.
I can't really get out of that thought.
Yes.
Yeah, that is so
you know, you're so much aware.
How long do you usually journal? Like, how long do you find yourself? Do you think you do more like short, like, I'm just sitting there, I'm like, writing short, or do you feel like you sit there for a long time? And
yeah, but kind of both. But I tend to do probably longer sessions fewer times. So I don't journal every day, but a couple times a week I might sit down and just really
let go of
just really start writing and figure out, like, or I will say, like, I remember when we first, and if you guys haven't listened to our first podcast where we talk about how this podcast was born, I have 4 or 5 pages. As soon as you and I brainstormed this podcast, I could not stop writing. I wrote 3 or 4 or 5 pages right then, and then kept coming back to it and writing more. And I was so inspired. A lot of daydreaming and brainstorming. I mean, and I consider that journaling, you know?
Well, I think that shows, like, the work that you've put into this. And I think it shows me, like, how I need to put more time and effort into like working on journaling, because I sometimes feel like my mind blocks me from like being able to do that.
Yeah.
Very freely. Like I feel like I'm overthinking sometimes. Like,
and I'm going to share in a few minutes some journaling prompts for those of you who don't journal or are like, oh, I don't even know what I would write. I'll share some with you. But I think I hope what we have done today is just like remove a little bit of the mystery of it, or
it doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be anything. It's just getting to know yourself, writing your thoughts down, writing your dreams down. Using
I think it does
prompts.
help. The prompts really have helped me. I feel like it gives me a really good starting point where I don't feel this like, I don't know, sometimes I just sit down with a journal and I feel this weird pressure of like writing good or something, even though I know no one is gonna read it.
Yeah.
It just doesn't always come natural to me unless I have something like seriously I'm going through that's just like giving me so many thoughts. But the prompts really help me to like, okay, well, once I start writing this, then I realize, oh wait, all of these thoughts are just coming out so easily.
Okay, so I'm going to give a few journal prompts.
Okay.
And then we will...
And we can... I can write these up into a document and we'll put them in the show notes.
Yeah, we'll put them in the show notes. But just a few things to think about, especially if you're brand new to it and you're not sure like how you would get started. So let me just give you a few prompts. Number 1, name 5 things that make you feel the most fulfilled and why. I love that
one's
question. What are you most excited about right now? What are you most excited about right now, Emily May?
I think this podcast. I'm not lying. I mean, it takes up a lot of my time, so that might be why. But it's exciting to me. So.
It is exciting. We're also going to New York next week. Oh, the girls in our family.
I'm so excited to see Moulin Rouge.
Yeah, we're going to see Moulin Rouge.
Yes.
That's exciting. And then let me give you another one. These are from my planner, and I'm trying to give ones that aren't specific to my program. Make a list of 25 hard things you've done in your life that you're proud of.
Wow.
That's a good one.
That one is a really good one.
Okay. Let's see if I have one more. Yeah, this is a good one. What do you want more of in 2024? And what do you want less of?
You gave that to us when my friends were here, and we did.
Oh yeah, when we had our little college girls weekend.
We had a college girls weekend. Well, we're not.
You're
not
all
not
anymore,
in college, but
yeah,
basically. You gave us journal prompts, and I think it sparked in everyone like, oh, you can just write.
You can just write.
I don't know. It seems like a simple thing, but. And it is at its core, but I think sometimes you can overthink it. But I think you can do it on anything in any time of life.
Yep.
And hopefully the prompts
will help
give you some inspiration.
I love that. Now we're wrapping this episode up, but we are going to be sharing our
weekly faves.
Our weekly faves, top 3.
This
Emily
is my
May.
favorite part. I love talking about
I love this part too. Are you going first? I think you are.
Okay, I'll go first. My first one is actually something that I received at our family white elephant.
That I received, but go ahead.
Okay, well, I feel like it's I actually did try to take this home with me, and we both were too obsessed with it. But I don't know if you can see this, and I don't know.
If you're watching on YouTube, you can see it. If not, just trust us.
It's basically an eye massager, and it looks really intimidating, but it like inflates with air pressure on your temples and on your eyelids,
and it has heat,
and it has music, and it's like being in a spa. And I think Aunt Gina,
she got it. We will link to this in our show notes.
It's from Amazon.
And in our Amazon store. Yeah.
Yeah, it's on Amazon, and I'm sure there's a ton you can get. But I had seen a girl talk about how this really helps your migraines, which I don't really get a ton of migraines. But if you do, I think it could really be helpful. It's so relaxing.
Confession, I've used it every night since you've been gone.
It's so good. Like, you could fall asleep to it.
Yeah.
It's so good, and I would have never bought it. Okay, next I'm going to do, I bought myself an espresso machine. My life is literally changed. Mom has like a really fancy espresso maker.
Automatic.
And every time I come home, I've like literally perfected making a latte. I love lattes and I've perfected it. And so I got some Christmas money and I was like, no, that is what I'm buying. And so I have used it every day and my roommates love it too. We're obsessed. We're making lattes every day.
All the time, every day.
It's amazing.
Saving money from going
Saving so much money. I think it's like $1 when you like really calculate it. It's like $1 per drink. Nice. Well, I mean, okay, it's probably not $1. It's probably like $2, but like it's significantly less than
Love it.
a coffee. My last one, this one's also one of my favorites. I bought this coat from Aritzia for our New York trip. Yeah. Actually. And I'll
just
link
describe it. It's like a long.
It's like long, kind of like a quilted material.
Okay.
But it's, I don't know. I'll have to just link it. But it's so cute. And I've actually worn it like almost every day since I bought it. I thought I was only going to really use it in New York. But it's thin enough to where it's not like a full-on puffer, but it's still warm. And I just am obsessed with like wrapping myself up it. Actually, fun fact, whenever I almost burnt the house down, I had to like the next day had to leave all the windows and doors open, but I had to
so you sat in your quilted coat?
I was literally at the like table like freezing, but I had my full coat on inside, but
with your Nespresso.
It felt a little, yes, literally I just got my coffee maker too. So fun fact for you. But that's all my things. That's my favorite things.
Okay. My 3 things for this episode. Obviously, I had to talk about my planner. Those of you who are in Life Mentoring School also know how obsessed we are with this planner. You actually can only get it in my program, but I wanted to show you, if you're watching on YouTube, I wanted to show you the cover for the winter one. It's so beautiful.
Cute. Shout out Marley.
Shout out my niece Marley, who does our graphic design.
So cute.
It's beautiful. Full of journal prompts. I use it all the time. I mentioned at the first that I have my last quarter's planner journal,
as you can see,
which has so many good things. She's full, which has so many good things that I wrote about, and I have a hard time moving from one to the next because I get really attached to the one I've been writing in. I also love, there's a lot of things in there, but there's journal pages, there's pages where you can do like your thoughts.
Yeah, there's really so much good stuff in there.
There's so many good things in there. So I love my planner. Second thing is, and we'll link to this in my Amazon store and in the show notes, is my favorite pen, you guys.
If you know,
maybe the reason you don't journal is because you don't have this pen.
No, if you know Edie Wadsworth, you know about this pen.
I have been linking to this pen literally for 10 years.
You love that pen.
I love this pen. It writes chunky. It writes.
I will say I don't love like the chunky.
I know you don't.
It's not my favorite, but it's because it's thicker. But
it's thicker.
A lot of people do love that thick ballpoint pen.
I think I originally found this pen through a friend of mine who's also a writer, Emily Freeman, and I've been using it ever since. I order boxes of them. Like
seriously, in our house, if you ever need a pen,
I will force.
There
this pen
will
on you.
be like boxes of this.
There will be boxes of this pen. It's my favorite pen. So try this pen for journaling. You might like it a lot better. The last thing that I want to share is I got a new devotional guide for the year, and I am loving it. It's called the Blue Book Devotional Guide for Every Season of Your Life, and it's kind of written in a little bit of a liturgical way, but my friend Carrie Hunt recommended this book, and it basically has a theme for each week. So this week is called, the first week of January is called Made in His Image. And I am telling you, I just want to read a little snippet from this because it is so good. God was so full of love that he simply could not contain himself. He had to create. Maybe he had to go in the way we normally understood it. He could not do it. His heart was so full of love that creation just spilled out of him. It was the overflow of his great affection. Out of love, he created a world and a people in order to invite us into this amazing inner circle of joy intimacy and infinite delight.
I love that. I need to get that.
I know, this book, you guys, so good. Again, we'll link it in our show notes and in the Amazon store. If you don't have a devotional for the year, I highly recommend it.
I am going to order that. I did not know about this book until right now.
I'm so glad.
You learn something new every day.
Something new. It's beautifully written. I love
Notice
it.
the difference between our favorite things every week. So just want you to notice that.
All right, you guys. Thanks for joining us.
Thank
on
you
this
so
episode.
much.
We
Leave
love
a
you so
review.
much.
We love you. And we will see you next week.
Next week. Bye.
Bye.